Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Of course, if you're familiar with the channel, welcome back. Appreciate you being here. And consider joining the channel membership, only $1 a month, and it goes to just support the channel. And with that out of the way, I am reviewing the Craft Endurance 2. Check it out. This is a very fun shoe. One that you have to be very careful of. Not in a bad way, this is a good thing. All right, let's get into it. I'm gonna share my thoughts on the build and build quality, the comfort and the performance, and then lastly, the value. I should also mention that Craft sent me the Endurance 2 for the purpose of review, but all thoughts and opinions are strictly my own. I do have an affiliate link down in the pinned comment or the description, so check that out if you're interested in any of the Craft products. It does give a little kickback to the channel, which certainly helps support me. Before we get into the full review, and there's a random goose over there, voiceover Chad, why don't you tell us about some of the specs and features of the Craft Endurance 2?
Craft states, serious runners, get ready to experience a new level of responsiveness with the Endurance 2 running shoe. Whether you're training for a marathon or pushing your limits on speed workouts, the Endurance 2 is the ultimate choice for elite athletes seeking the best in performance footwear. And I'll add that it's not just for elite athletes, but anybody looking for a performance piece of footwear. As for some of those specs and features, you get Craft's Px Foam midsole, which is beaded TPU, a one-piece engineered mesh upper, which is very breathable and form-fitting, a lay flat and gusseted tongue, contoured chassis or rocker shape for reduced weight and premium comfort, 36 millimeters of heel stack, 27 millimeters of toe stack for a 9 millimeter drop, weighing in at only 245 grams or 8.6 ounces in a men's size 9, and a US MSRP of only $144.99. Chad, back over to you.
As for the overall build and build quality, I just want to mention about design. I know it's in the eye of the beholder, but I really like the design of the Endurance 2, especially in this colorway. That white with the yellow and orange midsole. I don't know, it just looks clean. It looks fast. I think that's when you're going to want to use this shoe, when you're feeling a little fast or wanting to go a little fast. But as for quality and the build of the shoe, Craft, you did a really good job with this shoe. One thing that I appreciate about Craft shoes is that they don't purposely over-engineer or overbuild anything. That means their shoes are going to remain a little more lively, a little more lightweight, and just don't have any unnecessary components. The Endurance 2 is no exception to that. You get a really nice, lightweight, breathable upper. It's a durable upper that's not going to rip or fatigue prematurely. You do get some nice reinforcement around the eyelet chain, but other than that, it's quite a simple upper. That midsole, that PX foam, should last a long time, and in the handful of runs that I've had the shoe out, the outsole, the rubber on the outsole, seems to be holding up well, so no concerns from a quality build there either. All in all, everything seems to have come together quite well. Good choice of materials. It's all assembled really well. No complaints on the quality build. I'm not sure what else I can say about the build, but I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Moving on to the comfort of the Endurance 2. Comfort is a little mixed. It's gonna be hard to describe. The shoe is not uncomfortable, and I would dare say it's even comfortable, but it's not perfect. The choices of materials are great. That upper material feels really good around my foot. I feel like my foot is secured mostly well in place. There's some really nice light padding around the ankle and the heel, and you do get a nice hold around your ankle. There's also adequate room in the toe box, allowing just a little bit of room for my toes to kind of splay out. That by no means means that this is a wide-fitting shoe, because it's not. It's definitely a little bit more on the performance or sporty fitting. And like I said earlier, my foot is held pretty securely in place. The laces are also really nice. They lay flat across the top of my foot. No real redness or irritation from that hold across the top of my foot. But where it gets a little confusing is in the tongue. So the tongue is gusseted, which I really appreciate, but it's not padded at all. That's not to say that the tongue is uncomfortable, because it's not, but I think if it had just a little bit of dense padding, that would help add to the overall comfort across the top of your foot. That midsole is really nice. I find the shoe to feel mostly soft, but also very responsive, very fun and dynamic to run in. Just know that that midsole, the PX Foam, is not as soft as the PX Foam in the Craft Pacer or the Craft Explorer. And while it may not be as soft or cushioned as those shoes, it's definitely more responsive, which really aids in your tempo faster efforts. So just kind of to wrap up comfort here, the shoe is not uncomfortable, and again, I would dare say it is comfortable to run in. Just know that it's not the most plush or the softest or the most cushioned of shoes, but as a more tempo, faster paced oriented shoe, I think that's okay. The shoe definitely gives you a feeling of being lightweight and lively underfoot, which makes up for a lot of the lack of comfort, and I am okay with that. Overall comfort, just generally, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, but knowing that it is a more performance oriented shoe and keeping that in mind, I think you could even bump it up to more like a 9 out of 10. I've definitely ran in more performance, quicker tempo type of shoes that were less comfortable than the Endurance 2. Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment. Moving on to the performance. So I mentioned it earlier, but the Endurance 2 is a shoe that you have to be careful in. And again, not in a bad way. You have to be careful because if you're not watching your pace, you're not watching yourself, you're gonna find that you're gonna end up running faster and faster, and perhaps faster than you intended in the shoe. There's no carbon or plastic plate in the shoe, but there's a nice rocker shape, and that midsole is quite dynamic and really encourages and rewards a faster pace. Taking a look at that outsole rubber, performance seems to be good. It's nice and grippy, no concerns there. That PX midsole, like I mentioned before, I think that's where the shoe takes the cake. It feels really good underfoot from a performance perspective. It's got just enough softness or cushioning to keep things comfortable even over a longer run, but that midsole is definitely more responsive underfoot. And again, the more you put into it, the more it gives back. It really rewards that faster paced efforts. The underfoot feeling of the Endurance 2 reminds me a lot of the Razor 4, the Skechers Razor 4. That was another shoe that I really enjoyed. It felt lightweight and lively underfoot. It felt fast, but I feel like the Endurance 2 is a higher quality build, higher quality shoe compared to the Razor 4. Does that mean you can't use this shoe for your daily runs? Well, no, not at all. You definitely can, but you're gonna find that you'll appreciate the shoe more on those faster paced efforts. And then last thing, performance of the upper is also quite nice. I mentioned earlier that the upper is breathable. You can feel the air moving around your foot quite nicely. It's got a pretty good hold around your foot and tends to lean slightly more to a more sporty performance type of fit without it being overly fit or restrictive in any way. I should also mention that the shoe fits true to size. I went with my typical 9.5. No need to size up or down. The length is good. The width is pretty good. It is worth noting that Craft accidentally sent me a size 9, and I had to exchange that for a size 9.5 because while I really liked the fit around the midfoot in the size 9, it was definitely more of a snug performance fit. The length wasn't right. So sizing to my correct 9.5 size was the right move. So I'm gonna give performance a 9 out of 10. That's pretty good. Moving to the value of the Endurance 2. I think this is an area where the shoe, again, really shines. $145, just a few pennies shy of $145 US MSRP. I think that is a very solid price point. There are other performance-oriented shoes that are in that $150 to $160 range that compete with this shoe. But Craft, one thing I really appreciate about your prices on shoes is that you don't try to inflate the price too much. You keep it reasonable for the consumer. So thank you. And $145 for this shoe is a pretty good buy, in my opinion. I feel like this shoe is gonna last a long time. It's gonna be a lot of fun to run, and you can use it for a wide variety of runs. You're really rewarded with a fun experience. And while it seems that more and more shoes these days, especially performance-oriented shoes, are coming with some sort of plate, I don't feel like you need one most of the time. And the fact that the Endurance 2 does not include a carbon or plastic plate helps to keep that cost down. And I appreciate that a lot. Last thing I want to mention is for $145, I feel like you're going to get a shoe that's going to last a long time as well. It's not going to wear out prematurely or fatigue prematurely on you. Wouldn't be surprised if you can get 500 plus miles out of the shoe. So overall value, I'm going to put at an 8.5 out of 10. So do I recommend the shoe? Yes, I recommend the shoe. I think it's gonna be paired well with the Craft Pacer for those more longer daily miles. And when you feel a little faster, a little more fresh, or you're gonna go on a run that maybe you'll be picking up the pace a little bit, then you pull out the Craft Endurance 2. This is one of those shoes that is just simply a lot of fun to run in, and it really rewards you, especially as you pick up the pace a little bit. Again, the more you put into it, the more it gives back. It's just quite a dynamic and responsive ride. Feels good, feels fast, feels light underfoot. Not sure what else to say there. Just a lot of fun to run in. Is this a shoe that I'll continue to run in? Yes, absolutely. I've enjoyed my handful of runs so far, and I'm looking forward to running in this shoe again. It's been interesting on this run because I'm in taper mode. I have a 50-mile trail race coming up here pretty soon. I'm starting to taper for that race, and I'm in the Endurance 2, of course, and find that my feet want to move faster. I want to run faster, but I'm really having to dial it back and restrict myself. All right, that's all I have for you today. Let me know if you have any questions. Appreciate you. Please subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, and consider joining the channel membership. There's a link down in the description or the pinned comment below. Starts at only $1 a month and just goes to support the channel and some of the videos and efforts that I'm trying to do here for you. All right, that's it. Let's stop the video before I start rambling on. And remember to be consistent, express gratitude, and enjoy every mile as I have today in the Craft Endurance 2. Also previously known as the Endurance Pro, for what it's worth. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.